This episode is sponsored by Thrive Market, an online membership-based market that makes healthy living easy and affordable. You can get everything from grocery items to non-toxic home products, plus sustainable seafood and more. You choose your membership type, 1 month at a time or 12 months. I went with the 12-month because it came down to just $5 per month. Join today and you get 25% off your first order and a free gift. The link is in the video description. Now, let's get down to the basics of gluten-free pasta. So the first and easiest option for gluten-free pasta is store-bought. These can vary wildly in quality, flavor, and texture, so we taste tested a few brands, and the winner by a wide margin was this brand, Pasta Joy, whose flavor and texture were almost indistinguishable from its glutinous counterparts. And it's available on Thrive Market. Convenient. But sometimes life calls for fresh pasta. And before we get too nitty-gritty with a totally from scratch recipe, I wanted to see if we just grab some of this 1-to-1 gluten-free all-purpose flour and see if we could use it the way we would regular flour to make pasta. So we're going to start by measuring out 12 ounces of gluten-free flour, adding a couple big old pinches of kosher salt, and tiny whisking to combine before adding 8 ounces worth of eggs. This is the normal flour to egg ratio that I use for pasta, but I quickly discovered the first way that gluten-free flour does not translate, because instead of forming a soft, supple dough, this mixture quickly turned into a paste. So I added a little bit more flour until it got the right consistency, and then turned things over to a stand mixer where I wanted to knead the dough. Now this might seem counterintuitive given that this is gluten-free flour and therefore has no gluten to develop, but my theory, or rather hope, was that we would develop the starch in the dough, making it sturdy and giving the pasta the characteristic chew that we're looking for. So once we've allowed the dough to be kneaded for about 5 minutes, I'm just going to give it a few kneads by hand to get a feel for it, so to speak. Then we're going to wrap it in plastic wrap and fridge it for 30 minutes. After that, we're ready to get rolling. I'm going to subdivide the dough into a few pieces, then roll it out a little bit by hand to test its strength, and right off the bat, not off to a good start. Once again, in an effort to develop the starch, I'm going to roll it out and laminate it, that is, roll it out and fold it on itself many times before attempting to pass it through the pasta roller, which, as you can see, resulted in a crumbly disaster. So let's take another crack at this time using Bob's Red Mill 1-to-1 gluten-free flour. This stuff has a higher starch content, so I'm hoping that it will do the trick. And after using the exact same recipe and method, it did. The flour held its shape, albeit delicately, through the rollers and through the cutters. It was, however, as you can see, very fragile and rather sticky, an early indicator that it's going to have a gummy texture. After cooking briefly for 2 to 3 minutes or until floating, this theory was sadly proven correct. Not only was the pasta kind of sticky and gummy, it was also very fragile. So while 1-to-1 gluten-free flour might be okay for baking, it doesn't really work for pasta applications. I'm also not sure about the spaghetti form factor. It kind of turns into a knotty ball of ramen. So let us start work on our own custom gluten-free pasta flour blend. 15 ounces of brown rice flour, 12 ounces of white rice flour, 6 ounces of potato starch, 3 ounces of tapioca starch, and about 1 tablespoon of xanthan gum. Whisk until completely combined, keep it in an airtight container, and bust it out whenever you want to make some of the fresh stuff. When that day comes, the ratio for this flour is 14 ounces of our gluten-free flour blend, a big old pinch of kosher salt tiny whisked in there, and 8 ounces of eggs. This should yield a nice, soft, workable dough that we're going to knead in our stand mixer using the paddle attachment for about 5 minutes. This should, in theory, develop the starch and give our pasta a more toothsome al dente texture. No need to wrap, fridge, or rest, just subdivide into 4 workable pieces and start rolling out and cutting by virtue of your pasta roller and cutter. And like I said, spaghetti didn't work so hot, so we're going to use a fettuccine cutter. The outside of the dough is going to have some rough edges, but these should just fall away as you cut. Once it's out of the machine, we're going to heavily dust with flour and twist into a nest, rinse and repeat with the remaining pasta, and then this stuff is ready to put to use in your favorite fresh pasta application. I've been testing everybody out with just butter and salt, but why don't we put this straight to use in an actual recipe? A classic pasta allo olio. I'm going to dump about 3 tablespoons worth of high quality olive oil into a large sauté pan, thinly shave 2 or 3 large cloves of garlic into the cold oil, and then place over medium-low heat, allowing the garlic to gently bubble and cook and turn ever so slightly brown. More of a blonde than a brown, really. Dump your pasta into some awaiting boiling water, let it cook for 2 to 3 minutes until it floats, floats. Keep it moving initially so it doesn't stick together. Take the garlic off the heat as necessary so it doesn't burn. And when the pasta's done, go ahead and dump it straight into the oil along with the garlic and between 1/4 and 1/3 of a cup of pasta cooking water. We're also going to add the squeezed juice of 1 lemon. Allow the pasta to cook for about 1 more minute in this mixture before adding a big old handful of freshly chopped parsley. Toss everybody together until the sauce is thick and emulsified and almost creamy. Kill the heat and generously season with kosher salt and freshly ground black pepper, maybe some red pepper flakes if you're feeling spicy. Give her one last toss together and there you have it. Gluten-free pasta all'olio, and as you can imagine, I kind of have to twist it up with the carving fork from the movie Chef. Anything else would be sacrilegious, and the only thing left to do is hold it up to the camera for the thumbnail and give it a taste, and I gotta say, almost indistinguishable from its glutinous counterpart. It's toothsome, it's not sticky, it's light and bouncy, it has a nice neutral flavor, and it's perfect for all your GFFs or gluten-free friends. Thanks again to Thrive Market for sponsoring this episode. If you watch the show, you'll notice many of my groceries are from Thrive Market. They make it easy to order high quality and sustainable products in grocery, home, supplements, and more. You can also easily shop by diets and values like Fair Trade Certified, non-GMO, keto, and more, all in one place. Even better, through Thrive Gives, every paid membership sponsors a free membership for a low-income family. Head to thrivemarket.com/bingingwithbabish to sign up for a membership. You'll get 25% off your first order and a free gift. The link is in the video description.